Hey! 3, 2, 1. Hey, Free For All, Volume 2, Part 2. How's everyone doing? Thanks for tuning in. Already got quite a full house, which is good. It's going to be a great show. We were talking about snake charming music before we came on air. It's always a good topic of conversation. Tonight, it's all about the shiny evil discs, the CD. We find every now and again I'll get a little bit why don't you have any CDs on the show? So tonight's your night. If you ever wanted to show a CD on this show, tonight is your one and only chance to do that. So the link's in the chat. If you're out there, got some CDs you can jump on. Let's do that. Let's do the old housekeeping, shall we? Let's do that. Let's do the housekeeping. Like us. All that.
Subscribe us.
Tinkle the bell. There you go. Cheers, everyone. All right. That's that done. That's the housekeeping. Let's go in the chat. I'm here, as always. James is here, the silly punisher. Daniel's here on a new computer. Good to see your face. Jesse, how you doing?
Hey,
Alex, thanks for coming on. I kind of coerced you into coming on, but thanks for coming on.
Happy to do it.
It's gonna be a good show. So, like I said, it's all about the CD. This could be a long one. We'll see how it goes. I know some of us have quite a big stack ready to go. We'll see how it goes. So, are you ready? Shall we? Let's get going, eh? That's about it.
Mm-hmm.
Housekeeping. Let's talk about CDs that we love and have a good time talking about CDs. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.
Strap yourselves down. It's gonna be a it might be a long flight.
It's gonna be an interesting one.
So I don't know what everyone's take on this was. Like my initial take was like, I wish all this stuff was on vinyl, at the beginning. Then I softened my stance on that, and I was like, you know what? I'm happy with some of these just being CD only. That's fine. Some of my picks are never ever going to come out. Never ever going to come out on vinyl. And never. Hey, Rachel.
Hey, Rachel.
Yes. Yeah. Some of mine are never ever going to come out on vinyl. That's a fact. Some of them might, and I hope they do. And one is definitely coming out on CD in October, but we'll get to that later. I'm going to start off with something new. How about that? You weren't expecting that way. A new.
They still make CDs.
They do. Hey, you're going to love this. Okay, my first pick is a CD, but it's not your standard CD. It's one of these.
CD-ROM.
No.
Easy disc.
The 8.
Oh, a 3-inch CD.
The 3-inch, 8 centimeter.
A single.
CD by a band I've talked about before on this show. They're from Mito City, Ibaraki, near Tokyo. Keiketsu is the name of the band, and this came out last year on Hello from the Gutter Records. They kind of build themselves like a Showa era hardcore band. They're into the Stalin and Abradako and all that kind of stuff. I think their LPs are okay. The first LP's decent. These might be my favorite songs by this band, Keiketsu.
How many?
2 songs and then 2 karaoke versions of the 2 same songs. I don't know how much music you can physically fit on one of these 8 centimeter CDs, but the 2 songs are great. They're like more mid-paced, catchy hardcore with sort of raw production. I don't know if anybody here's heard this. Just came out last year. It's good. If you like Keiketsu, definitely check it out. If you're on the fence about Keiketsu, give this one a go because I think it's their best 2 songs. There you go. Can you see that? There it is. Let's take it out of its box because these are good to look at. There you go.
Oh, that's a cute little donut.
It's nice, right? How could you resist? See, I hope this never comes out on vinyl. I think it's perfect the way it is. Okay. I forgot to mention, John Peel back in the day used to do these things called the Hardcore Uproar breaks, where he would play like every single 7-inch or flexi that he'd got that month, and he'd play them like back to back for 20 minutes. So I've got 3 hardcore uproar breaks for my picks tonight. This is my number one in the hardcore uproar break. Number two, old. I used to have this in my distro on MCR, the MCR UK distro, and it was popular at first because of the line for the band. It's like a super group. But then people bought it and they were kind of disappointed by it. And I was kind of disappointed by it too back then. But I come around to liking it quite a bit. And I hope this one does get a vinyl release at some point. 1993, Selfish Records. That's like right at the end of Selfish Records, I want to say. Maybe one of the last things they put out even. Of course, I'm talking about...
Wow. Yeah.
Ogreish Organism and their first album, Oni, or Demon. Anybody familiar with Ogreish Organism?
Super group.
Super group of sorts, yeah. Basically, it's Pill. Ogreish Organism is Pill from Lip Cream. So the drums are super loud on this record. The drums really drive, and his vocals, he kind of just grunts, talks into the microphone. There's almost like zero melody. He's just like growling at you like an angry yakuza, like the whole way through the record. But it kind of works. But then, of course, the band is Zigyaku, who was in Bastard at the time, Chelsea, who was in Deathside at the time, and Minoru, who was in Lip Cream. Lip Cream had broken up by this point, right? So yeah. ex Lip Cream. Then this guy called Noboru, who plays on some tracks, who was in that band. Asylum, and Chelsea was in Asylum too, actually, like back in the day. It's funny because it's real, like kind of flat, like it's not dynamic, like a lot of like traditional like Japanese hardcore. It's really flat, and even Chelsea is kind of subdued on this record, right? He doesn't really let loose too much, and sometimes it's kind of hard to tell who's playing the guitar on each track. Like, is it Zigyaku? Is it Chelsea? They kind of both kind of sound similar. There's one song they both play on it together, but I don't know. I've kind of come around to this. I think it works. It's just kind of like, I don't know, no frills.
Yeah, I don't have that one, but they got a couple releases, right? And I have one of the other CDs that has like just a couple songs on it, I think.
Is it this one?
Yeah, that's it. Yep.
I didn't pick this one because there's a 7-inch of this, so I didn't pick this one. But the CD has like 2 extra tracks on it, so it's in the pile there. They have 2 more albums that, like, you know, all these members play on. I know, kind of interesting band. It's kind of scary. It reminds me of the first Tetsuari record in that it's kind of a bit long and a bit samey. You know, they could have cut a few tracks. They do Break In by Lip Cream cover, which is pretty cool. My last pick for round 1 is local band, local heroes, a lean, mean riff machine, Midnight Resurrector. There you go. On their first album, HG Fact. I think HG Fact might be a bit of a theme tonight. HG Fact are kind of the king of the CD of this era.
Yeah, that first Midnight, far and away the best stuff. It sounds like Master of Puppets and Chromax, like smushed together or something. It's
this insane. One or the 7-inch? This one, right?
That one. Yeah, the 7-inch is a lot more straightforward, right?
Yes. Yeah, the 7-inch is more like straightforward hardcore. Yeah. And then this comes out and it's like super heavy.
If you want like a 36-minute record to just listen to, it's great.
It's funny because it's kind of like tough guy hardcore in a way, because it's like there's mosh parts and breakdowns, but it doesn't sound like tough guy. It's got like a different vibe. So I think it's because of Yamaguchi's like guitar riffs and stuff. Mm-hmm. There's still a bit of that kind of like southern rock in there a little bit, because we know he loves the southern rock and the stoner rock. The cowboy. There he is up front. There he is. Yeah, I love Midnight Resurrector. Of course, Kid on the vocals, great front man. This came out. The funny thing is though, it's like they've only done like 3 or 4 records in like over 20 years, like 1 7-inch, like 2 albums and like a split CD. But great band, heavy stuff from Osaka. That's it. That's my first round.
Good job.
Thank you very much.
That was
under 10 minutes.
My pleasure. All right, James, what's your first pick?
Yeah. So, but first, I have a question. If you know, in reference to the 3-inch CD, if a cassette single is a single, is a CD single a C-Dingle? That's.
Whoa.
Have we ever heard anyone say that? I don't know.
Not until now.
Anyhow, so my first pick is going to be kind of a short one. It's a band that was not on my radar until I was in Japan last year and was talking about going to some show. And Mike, you were like, "Do not miss this band because they are sort of like a local favorite, a Japan favorite that has been around for 20 plus years and have hardly released anything. And they really blew me away. They were an amazing live band. They have a few comp tracks, but the only standalone release is a format that I've never seen outside of punk, which is the CD inside a 7-inch sleeve. I'm talking about No Problem, and this is their with Doomsday Hour. The way they were sold to me by Mike was this is classic mohawks and flip-flops, Japanese hardcore, scary burly boys, and that they are, but absolutely catchy. I don't really know what to call this style. It's because it's not really quite Burning Spirits. It's like post Burning Spirits, but like quite a bit more melodic, but heavy, just the same. And that's just like, you know, they have, like, again, they're comp tracks, but this is the only release in 20-something years of existence, a split CD with an American band from Southern California called Doomsday Hour. Doomsday Hour is cool. They're fine. They're, I would say, serviceable Burning Spirits wannabe American hardcore. It's fine. But who we're here to talk about is No Problem, a band that kind of grew out of Sticks and Throat, a band that I don't have any releases here to show, but a band that themselves grew out of, speaking of HG Fact, a very underrated record by a group called Guest Spanked. Oh, there we go. Thank you. You just had that on hand, or was that like one of your picks?
It's in one of my stacks, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Yeah, and yeah, pre Sticks and Throat, you've got Guest Spanked, who, you know, like a lot of hay is tossed around about a Shia's mohawk from back in the day, but right there, I remember as a teenager seeing this picture and thinking, man, that's a 7-inch to get.
Yes.
But this is the drummer of Geschwink. He's not in the band, but this guy right here. Let's see, it's all reversed.
The drummer of Geschpenst is also in Sticks in Throat, and his name is Muscle H.
Yes, must gotta be like true to form. But he didn't quite make it to No Problem.
No.
But the singer, Mikio Toyoda, who was in Sticks and Throat, and also a band called Crisis Kill that is the pretty good early band that's on I have a comp around here that has like them and Claude and
Nobody's Fault compilation.
Yes, yeah. Good stuff. Anyway, so that 7-inch is fantastic. Pick it up if you haven't seen it. But we're talking about No Problem, a band that has more merch than releases. I was like blown away by their merch table, seeing them live, which was like full of like beer koozies and like cool T-shirts, all really like colorful, interestingly designed shit.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome. And it's got Chibo, who was also in Guest Bank, and that band Claude before mentioned, and a guy named Naka playing bass, who was also in Pinocchio, a really great late 90s band, and did a little bit of time in Paintbox too, I think.
And he's the guy that does all the Burning Spirits artwork too.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
The 7-inch also has, or 7-inch CD also has something I've never seen before, which is like a classic like matte printing, fold out, but then you open it up and it's high gloss, full color, unbelievable,
beautiful.
Has our guy Mikio on it wearing like a chain. Here we go, a chain that looks like it's meant for pulling a boat or something, and like goggles. Just coolest looking fucking guy. And one of the times I saw them, I was like, hey, I really like Geschbank. Like, that 7-inch is fantastic. And he could not be less impressed. He was just sort of like, yeah. Sure. But so fucking defeated. But anyways, really, really good band. This is one of those splits where instead of dividing it half and half between the bands, instead the tracks alternate from one band to another, which I don't love, because the No Problem stuff is stronger, I think, than the Doomsday Hour stuff. But missing is the hit No Problem song.
Woo-ha!
Woo-ha! Woo-ha! Before Busta Rhymes got to it, No Problem did it first. And if you want Woo-ha, you'd have to find it on Demented Hardcore, or Demented Anthem Hardcore Assemblage, a completely insane compilation that features everyone, every fucking band: Worms Meat, Blowback, After the Bombs, Krigshaw, Origin of Them, Jabara, Crossface, Warcry, Crude, Inepsy, Nightmare, Severed Head of State, and No Problem. Woo-ha is right here, a song that I was happy to hear live initially.
So good.
And over like the 2 months in Japan, saw this band like 2 or 3 times. They like them and Warhead just seemed to be like on every show I went to. And Woo-ha's a good song. I can see why it's the hit. It's catchy as hell. Anyways, I like No Problem. They're a good band. I would love to see someone kind of like pull all their songs together and do like a 12-inch or something. But pretty sick, scary guys that you don't want showing up on your doorstep for any gambling debts. Just good, but yeah, good stuff. That's my first pick.
Didn't know about that compilation CD. That's yeah.
Well, if you want Woo-ha, that's where it is.
That's where it is. All right.
I also got a shout out because because I was looking for these for this episode, and found both of them from a guy, Barai Core Distro. This distro that I've heard of before but never ordered before. And he was the only guy in the US that had both of these on Discogs, and he did a rush shipping job to get them here before.
That's funny, because I forgot to say, if anybody wants this, Andy at Bricor has 1 copy of this.
There we go.
Too. There you go. All right. Daniel, keeper of the CD faith.
Yeah, I have like 28 CDs here, so I'm going to wrap it up for a few. First one, this is called El Llanto de un Héroe by Avalanche. Power metal band from Spain. This comes out in 95, 96, I think. This is, in my estimation, the best Spanish language power metal record ever made. The band is essentially built around this guitar player, Alberto Rionda. And this was their 3rd record, and I believe it was their 3rd lead singer who did this record and another one. And then ever since then, I believe there's been another 4 lead singers, an innumerable amount of bass players and drummers and stuff. But it's always around Alberto, the guitar player, who is just incredible. And this is like, it's very 90s power metal, kind of like what Gamma Ray and Halloween and shit like that were doing at the time. But it has a very Spanish feel to it. It almost has like a little bit of like a punky feel to it in some of the structuring and stuff. But it's very much power metal. Like all the songs are about the Crusades and Maidens and what have you. It's fist in the air, fucking ripping solos. It has a song about Torquemada, the guy from the Inquisition. It's one of my favorite fucking metal songs of all time. The guitar solos, everything on it is amazing. And it's never come out on vinyl. A bunch of their other records have come out on vinyl. But this is, I think, agreed upon by everyone as like, this was kind of peak Avalanche, even though they've done like 7 records since then that are all very good. But yeah, so Avalanche, Llanto de un Héroe, fantastic power metal. And the other thing, a Japanese band, a newer band.
Okay.
No Excuse on Break the Records, who tend to do more modern hardcore and stuff. But No Excuse is kind of special for me on their thing because it's like Burning Spirits, but like if they just kept going and they'd gotten the production that you get in 2010s hardcore, some like the guitar moments, a little bit of like the moshy stuff getting into it, but it's just so propulsive that it's so fucking like, you know, it just beats the shit out of you for a minute and you're good. And you're like, can I have some more? So they've done 2 full lengths that are only CD. These are 2014 and 2017 Grudge and Uprising. Very, very good shit. Very, very good hardcore shit. I think the last thing they did was a 7-inch in 2023. I believe they're still around. They're one of those Japanese hardcore bands that just kind of, they'll go away for 4 years and then they'll fucking put something out. There's a split CD that I also have of theirs, but these 2, the full length Grudge and Uprising, super backed, super fucking great hardcore. And then the last thing I wanted to do, if I can find it in these piles, there it is. So this is La Pestilencia. It's called Amarillista. So this is this is Colombian. This is from my home country of Colombia. And like people talk a lot about it in Colombia, like kind of like, you know, Parabellum and Reencarnación and like kind of the 90s Medellin metal that kind of influenced back and forth with Mayhem and all those dudes and stuff. And that's kind of the big thing. And there's like a resurgence in Colombian hardcore now and stuff. But I believe this band, La Pestilencia, is kind of like the missing link. I don't hear it discussed here in the States a lot. And they're very interesting because like this is their 3rd record. And their first record and their second record are these like, it's kind of like they have access to certain things in metal and hardcore globally, but it's very rooted in that 80s South American punk, very tupa, very fucking, you know, meat and potatoes punk. So they have these like death metal-y moments mixed in with this punk, very like, I don't want to say ignorant, but just fucking just simple guitar and stuff. And they were kind of turning into a South American hardcore band over those 2 records. And for me, they kind of hit it here. This has like a little bit of crossover, a lot of like, there's Escorbuto, you can hear it in there. Escorbuto, you can hear in fucking every punk record that came in out of South America for a long time. But it's very unique. La Pestilencia, I don't think they get their flowers like all the other Colombian bands do. They were huge for me when I lived in Colombia, for us, like kind of grabbing at anything that we could that was like ours. And La Pestilencia was like a big deal. So yeah, that's my first 3. I believe this was 97. It's been off vinyl for 25 years. I think they repressed it on vinyl in Colombia in like 2022. But it's still like there's like 3 versions on CD before that. So it's a CD.
Okay. Nice. All right. Rachel, what's your first pick? What you got?
Oh, is it my turn?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not sure how many rounds I'll make it through.
Me neither.
But I was looking. My number one thing that I wanted to show, I could not find.
Oh.
It's NOTA's, I think it's their second album from 1996. Give Them Enough Dope. I'm pretty sure it didn't come out on vinyl ever. It definitely came out on CD when it came out. And then one other thing I'm going to show before I show my actual thing. I thought about like just now, I was thinking about like, should I run off and try to find my t-shirt of this band that was and do a listed wear, but it's, can you see that?
Oh,
it's terrible.
Mind Invasion?
This never came out on a record, I don't think.
No.
Great. Fastcore. From Japan, all women. I'm sure everybody in this thing knows about it, but just in case you don't know, they're great. But the band I'm actually showing is Swedish. I think it's from 1995.
Oh, Daniel, look at Daniel.
Oh,
wait.
Oh, yeah.
Hey.
Wait, is that a record? No, those are CDs. Okay.
Yeah.
So the band I'm going to show is Swedish from 1995. They sound like a Swedish band from 1995. Another thing I was looking for but couldn't find was the Disober CD, which was a bunch of guys who were weirdly not in very many other bands at all. And except they're in this new band called Scared Earth that's actually pretty good.
Okay.
But and they did a cover of Grave New World as if it was done by Discharge. Like as it is a Discharge song, But I don't know. So that's just another Swedish CD from the 90s. But the one that I'm going to show is these people are in fuckloads of bands. There's people who are in like Totalitar, Artila, Quickshot, Asocial, several people from Asocial, I think. Just Change, Meanwhile, blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it has that kind of, it's like a really fucking good, they put out 2 CDs. No one ever repressed them on records. It's Flesh Rebels.
Oh.
Have everybody heard this band? They're like a little bit rock and rolly. Like they have they're not that rock and rolly, but they like rock, Like they're really, really catchy. They're like really, it's D-beat, like really shitty sounding drums. It sounds like a Swedish D-beat band from the 90s. Pretty stupid lyrics, but it's great. And nobody has heard this band.
I have, but
Okay.
I don't own that. But I've definitely heard it. I might have a CDR of it or something, or MP3 files on the computer. But it's a bit sort of like what do you call that stuff? Like it's a bit like rock and roll, right? Like you said, a little bit.
It's a little, it's a little bit D-beat and a little bit rock and roll.
Yeah.
It definitely it feels like a sort of a predecessor to something like an Epsi. It's a little bit like got that Motorheady thing, and it has some like rockin' elements.
Right.
But yeah, it's cool. Like it's D-beat, but it's not Discharge copy.
Right.
So yeah. I really love this. This was like a staple of
Nice.
the Caustic Christ band.
Rachel.
Yeah. Oh yeah, thank you. Give them enough dope. That record is so good. Like I mean, it's not a record. That album is so good. That's
the live stuff on it is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Did they stick to the formula of the first NOTA stuff, or did they evolve in some way on the second one? I still haven't heard that.
It's still them. You can tell it's them, but they definitely kind of were trying to update the sound. I think you could say that.
Okay.
It's solid, and again, there's 9 live tracks on it, and those are fucking ripping.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Jesse, what's your first?
My first one, I wanted to make sure it didn't get snatched, so I got to go with this one first.
Okay.
A Japanese band, an Osaka band from the 80s. They did have records out, but they also had this full length that was only on CD. And I feel like, I don't know, I wrote about it a few days ago on Instagram that I just think people don't really appreciate it as much, but for me this is one of a top 10 Japanese, not Japanese hardcore really, but just good rock music.
Give us a hint. Give us a there you go. Oh yes,
yeah,
shake your boots.
Yeah. You can of course see the reflection, but 2 copies.
That's the reissue.
Best City Indian material.
Once stock for rock.
So good.
Yeah, I mean the 12-inch and the 7-inch, they're good, but this is they took their time. It was after they broke up and got back together and everything. And I bought this in 2004. I didn't know anything about it. But then over time when I started living in Osaka, I realized that it was just background music that you'd hear at the bar. You'd see the videos and stuff. This is a 2005 reissue.
NAC?
2 videos.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. But this one, this is the 20, I don't know. Let me adjust my reading glasses. 2013 version. That was put out by Time Bomb and has some extra tracks from 3 live tracks and 5 demos. So if you're really a completist, you might want the Time Bomb version, but honestly, all you need is this one. I mean, if you're not familiar with the sound, it's like Motorhead put through a punk filter with very stupid like vocals and lyrics. Great song titles: Magic Lips,
Shake Your Boots,
Shake Your Boots, Lost Monkey Roar,
Drunky Boxer,
and Mad Sister, Crazy for Sex.
Yes.
Yeah. So like the CD itself, like when I saw it, I'm like, oh, this looks like an old, like the CDs you would get in the 80s kind of CD, right? This looks classic, timeless, some would say. But yeah, highly recommended. City Indian, Howling on Fire, full length, so good.
Yes.
CD only, as it should be.
Yes.
So, were you saying that only one of those releases has the videos on it?
Yes.
I think maybe just this 2005 one has the 2 video tracks. But there's like, I think there's like a full set or a few that are floating around somewhere in the ether.
The original the original one came out in like 1992 or something.
Yeah. Right. It was like when it originally came out, right?
Yeah.
So there were no videos on that one. It was not
a
super CD-ROM or anything like that.
Enhanced CD.
Yes.
Yeah. But such a great band. And just like, man, I just feel like because it's only CD, you don't ever look for that. People are just passing it up, or they only know the 12 inches, and like you might not be super impressed. But when you hear the CD,
that's the best material, right? It's the best.
Oh,
stuff.
totally.
I think so.
Yeah.
The vocals are so hot in that mix. They're like so on top of everything else. But it's great. That sounds cool.
Yeah, the production is just completely top notch. It was like I don't think it was a major label record, but it was like a major minor probably.
Yeah.
So they definitely had enough money behind it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that was my pick for Keep It Short and Simple. One of the best CDs I own and have owned for years and years.
Yeah. So that's a great pick.
Does anyone know why they were no longer war painted on that release?
Because they'd like broken up and like got back together and like a fresh kind of the rebirth. I don't know. Instead of putting like war painted City Indian AD at the end, they just went with like a City Indian, I guess.
Yeah, I mean it's all the same members and everything, right? So yeah, who knows?
All right.
Also, it's hard to fit on a cool sticker, right? City Indian fits.
True.
War painted City Indian, not so much.
But that's a sticker. It's huge.
That's a sticker that's the size of a CD booklet.
There you go. All right, Alex, what's your first pick? What you got?
All right, well, Mike, thanks for letting me live out my fantasy of coming on the show. It's an honor.
Simple fantasy, but it's come true.
So I'm gonna start in Japan, and
cool.
I think most people know that Life is coming to the East Coast, U.S. pretty soon. They're amazing live. I saw them last year when I went to Japan. Saw them at Earth Dome Tokyo, and that's where I picked up this one. This is the Life bottom split CD. This is one of those ones in a 7-inch sleeve, but it is a CD. And as I understand it, this was originally supposed to be a split release with a Russian label that was to be on vinyl. But then I guess the whole Russia-Ukraine thing happened, so that got put aside and it became just a Japanese release. Okay. So there's a bunch of labels involved with this. It's like Acclaim, Price of Grain, Punk Bastard, Rockos. So like 4 labels.
Okay.
And I was psyched to get this because it actually has probably my favorite Life song on it. It's called Efforts to Create Peace. And I don't know if any of you guys ever saw that YouTube channel called Final Tokyo. It was this channel that kind of popped up for a brief moment during the pandemic, at a time when like COVID was at its height and bands weren't really playing gigs. So bands were like doing live streams, posting videos and stuff. So this channel was, they were just posting these short sets by like Japanese hardcore bands, like beautifully shot, multi-camera angles and everything. And Life did a set for them. And I was just floored by it. Like, you should all go and watch it for sure. But they did this song, Efforts to Create Peace, and I was just searching to see if it was on any releases, but it hadn't appeared on anything up to that point. And then it finally popped up on this thing. But
Nice.
it's one of those songs that has like kind of like long instrumental build-ups that kind of create tension, and then like all the instruments are playing and everything drops out except the guitar, and then like all hell breaks loose. It's one of those kind of songs. And like if you're familiar with Life, they just have like fucking amazing like stage presence. Hero's like a madman as a vocalist. So incredible song, worth the price of admission just for that. So yeah, go see Life if you have the opportunity. I know I'm sounding like an unofficial member of the Life Street team, but go check them out. But anyway, the one I really wanted to talk about for this round,
I think,
was this.
Sorry to interrupt you, but I think Radiation Records brought a bunch of those, and they have them in their distro.
Okay,
if anybody
cool.
in the US wants to pick it up.
Okay, cool.
Nice. So I'm going with this. This is IFIT's Genetic Memory. So this is kind of I guess there's sort of like a super group of sorts. Minoru is in this one as well. Of course, from Lip Cream and the Cums, and later on Colored Ricemen and a bunch of other bands, I think. The guitarist is TT from the early Forward records. And then they've got a female vocalist who was in the Heck, who I'm not really familiar with, but I think they put out some 7 inches.
Yeah.
They kind of sound like a combination of like early Lip Cream and Forward, I guess, just kind of the bands that they were in. It's kind of like an older brand of Japanese hardcore, I would say. Like I said, like Kill Ugly Pop era Lip Cream, maybe. It's not exactly mid-tempo, but it's not like blazingly fast or brutal or anything. It's got kind of more of a punk edge to it, no metal influence. Now, I wasn't like super into it at first. It seemed a little mid to me in a way. Like nothing stood out, but something I kept going back to it. And I don't know, I think of it as like, I want to say it's like old punks hardcore. And I don't mean that in a disparaging way at all, but it's like, it kind of sounds like, these are people that are like comfortable in their skin. They know the kind of music they like and that they want to play, and they're just having fun playing it. Like that's kind of the vibe I get. And the other thing that kept me coming back was like, I guess the guitar tone. It's got this kind of warm, almost like tubey, just like beautiful distortion. I'm not really a gear guy, so I'm not quite sure how to describe it or how they achieve that sound, but I just love like the sound of this CD. Even more than, it's not like I'm coming back to listen to the songs as much as just like I just love the way it sounds. Like I'll put it on in the background and it's like ambient hardcore to me or something. I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's kind of how I listen to it. But nobody ever talks about this band, at least outside of Japan. I don't know if in Japan maybe they've got more of a following. And I haven't heard anything else they've done, but I would assume it's all kind of along the same lines. But
I've only seen them live, so I've never actually heard any of their recorded material. They have a bunch of stuff out, like 3 or 4 albums or something like that. Is that right?
Yeah, and I think this is the only one that's CD only. The others I think are on like either cassette or vinyl.
Nice. Yeah, definitely a band that people don't talk about much outside of Japan, I would say. Yeah, that's a great pick. Great pick. All right. Round 2. I'm going to change my plan here. But my second pick is one band. And when I moved to Japan, I sold my entire record collection. I sold most of my CDs, but I put like about 20 CDs in my suitcase. And of those 20 CDs, only 4 remain. Those 4 are by this band. I was obsessed with this band in like 1992. They were actually introduced to me by Sato from HD Fact, because we were tape trading and record trading back then, and he sent me like a couple of these CDs, and like me and all the members of our squad were just like blown away by it. This band, I was gonna have this as my first pick, but the name of the band might demonetize this episode, so I put it into my second round. You know what I'm talking about. Of course, I'm talking about High Technology Suicide. Any fans? Anyone familiar?
I'm not familiar.
This is a hard band to talk about. They were not a hardcore band, but there's elements of hardcore in them. Very much influenced by the Stalin, especially on their second album, which came out in the same year. They put out 2 albums in 1992 on Skin Pop. They had a 7-inch out with this artwork on it, actually, on Sympathy for the Record Industry. But Sympathy for the Record Industry chose like the worst song to put out as a 7-inch. It's that Paint It Black Sabbath song, which is like a kind of novelty song. It's like a mashup of like Paranoid and Paint It Black by the Rolling Stones, kind of done in a digital hardcore way. That comes at the end of the record, on the end of the album on here. And that's the song they decided to put out to, in the States. But so I don't know, maybe people kind of lost interest in them. But this album is really Stalin influenced, with that they've got a sampler, a guy that does a lot of samples. There's like loads of like weird like horror movie samples and like and howls and all sorts of sound effects. That guy was in Keiketsu. The guy who does all the sampling was in Keiketsu. His name is Honma. He was in Keiketsu. The bass player of this band was in the pre-Stalin band Jiheitai with Michiro Endo. So the bass player of this band was in Jiheitai with Michiro Endo. So that kind of might explain some of the Stalin influence. I love this band. Their live shows were legendary. They were very into pro wrestling or like the Japanese wrestling. So there's like lots of barbed wire and blood and fireworks and explosions and violence and professional wrestlers coming onto the stage and hitting people with like chairs and stuff. There's videos on YouTube, but I was obsessed by this band in the 90s, and they will never ever sell these. They're really hard to get now. They're never ever going to come out on vinyl. Never. High Technology Suicide. Amazing group. There's a little bit of Gizm in there. On this one, there's like a tiny touch of Gizm in the riffs. It's super heavy. Why is everyone laughing?
I don't know.
Hello?
No reason.
Can I carry on? Okay. And then there's some others, but like I'll move on. This is my second pick. High Technology Suicide. Skin Pop Records, which was we were talking about this before. Skin Pop Records was a division of Music Visions that did UK Edison, this huge company that did like UK Edison and Love Records that only put out Gas Tank Records and this kind of stuff. So there is some kind of, but apparently everyone in the hardcore scene like hated this band back then because they were doing all the stage show and the barbed wire and the wrestling and all that kind of stuff. And
so that's why I'm gonna have to look them up.
Exactly. It's hard to describe the music. This one is, especially this one, is like really, really. Imagine the Stalin with like lots of like samples and stuff.
Is it like the digital hardcore stuff, like Atari Teenage Riot, that kind of thing?
I don't know, man. I'm not really too familiar with digital hardcore, but it was just like a really unrepresentative song from them to like put out as a 7-inch, in the States. A little unfortunate. But,
it sounds interesting.
It's decent, but like it's just different from their other stuff, So, all right, there you go, James. What you got?
So I have a good dovetail to this because similarly, I don't have that many CDs. Most of my CDs are in storage back at my mom's house in Tennessee. So if I had all my CDs with me, this episode would have had at least a couple Southern gangster rap CDs from the 90s as my picks, but that stuff is kind of all mothballed right now. But my next pick is something that travels with me. It's a subject very, very near and dear to my heart. And so I'm going to probably go on it too long. So I'll try to like zoom through this, but I'll preface this by saying I love punk. I love psychedelic music. I love krautrock. I love space rock. I love industrial music. I like scrappy DIY albums that sound like they were assembled in patchwork in a bedroom in a way that can never be replicated live. I like smoking grass and tripping a few times a year. And because of all of this, I love Chrome. Chrome is one of the greatest bands of all time. Top 3. They're up there with Trad Grassock Stenner, Crass, Neil Young for me. Just a profoundly influential band for me. And fans on a CD who are watching this, if you're a Chrome fan and you know this is a CD only release episode of this podcast, you already know where I'm going with this. But if you don't, if you're a casual Chrome fan or not at all initiated, I have to contextualize the CD by talking about where it stands in the Chrome discography. So Chrome were a band that started in Topanga Canyon in the early 70s, not as Chrome, but as a group called Bakada with a guy named Thomas Edward Wiese or Wiese, I'm not sure. But they were sort of a hippie freak folk improvisational project that, as far as I know, only have one song that you can hear. And it was something for a soundtrack to a schlocky Telly Savalas movie from the 1971 called Clay Pigeon, and nothing else. As far as I know, I hope that there are tapes out there somewhere that can surface and there will be another release. But as far as I know, that's the only thing you can hear. And it's not even been released. It's only in the soundtrack to this movie, of which there is not an original soundtrack release, as far as I know. And this guy, Thomas Edward, after Bakada moves to the Bay Area and rechristens himself as Damon Edge because he wanted a weird, futuristic, non-American sounding name. And he forms a band called Chrome, which at that time was sort of a band that was behind the times. That sounded like it belonged in the late 60s, early 70s. It's a acid, fucked up version of Santana or something, but like weirder and more unusual, not like anything else that came from the US. And in 1976, they released The Visitation. This is a second press. The first press is in an edition of something like 300 copies with a hand spray painted cover. You can't even call it post-punk or punk adjacent. It's a psychedelic record. It's just this own thing. Had Chrome never done anything else past this record, this would be a masterpiece and regarded as just like one of the weird independent releases of the American underground of the time, and would be highly sought after on its own terms. But The Visitation has really nothing to do with the rest of the Chrome discography, aside from Damon Edge. A guy named Helios Creed, also not his real name, heard this record, was looking for a band to play with in the Bay Area, and said, he reached out and was like, I need to form a meeting with these people. These are my people. And basically told Damon, you need me. Your band is incomplete without me. And he was right. He auditioned. And from that point forward, Chrome became Helios and Damon as one of the best creative partnerships in all of music ever, and released absolute classics like 1977's Alien soundtracks, which it came out the same year as Nevermind the Bollocks, but you could call it a post-punk record, but that term is brandied about with the same as like Wire or whatever. It's like it's punkier than Wire, but also like weirder than Wire or anything else at the time. A mind-blowing record. They did a soundtrack for some porno movies, Read Only Memory. They released Half Machine Lip Moves, an unmitigated classic and something that just really blew the lid off of independent music. Red Exposure, the record that got me into Chrome in a nice Japanese edition with Anobi. This is like, I think for people who the rest of their records might be a little bit too strange sounding, this is like the accessible Chrome record of the golden era. Perfect EP, In Worlds, 2 songs, 2 of their absolute best. Third from the Sun, where they're starting to break into the mainstream a little bit. Blood on the Moon, Raining Milk. Raining Milk would be the last time that Damon and Helios collaborated together. And then Damon kind of went on separate paths. They had somewhat of an amicable split. Damon started dating a woman in France named Fabienne Shine, who was sort of a poptress of her, like somewhat mainstreamed and well-known, and fell in love, moved to France to pursue her, reformed Chrome over there with completely different people. And suddenly the band took a completely different direction. Helios started doing solo records, and Chrome became just a Damon Edge project with a bunch of guys, released Into the Eyes of the Zombie King, and a whole litany of records that all kind of like look the same. This is like the jumping off point where people stop listening to Chrome because it's sort of like past the golden period of like Helios and Damon. But these records are incredible. They're very different from the golden era of Chrome. They're colder. They're more minimalist. They're very much synth driven, although there is some wanky guitar stuff going on. They had a couple live albums, Live in Lyon, and my favorite, Live in Germany. They, for a band that existed, well, it still exists to this day, up until Helios took over later on, they, in the classic era, I think they played like 3 or 4 shows ever. Very, very, very hard to see a band. And both those 2 live records are not even like true live documents. There's all sorts of like post-production and overdubbing on top of them. Damon Edge has solo records of his own, Alliance, Wind is Talking, The Surreal Rock, Grand Visions. These are all perfect records. These are all records that are so fucking far ahead of their time in all eras of Chrome. I think like still these records are ahead of their time and a little bit like too far beyond for most people. But I mean, if you're into industrial, semi-goth, weird, dark rock, if you're like a Sacred Bones kind of person, these are records for you. You've got to hear the Damon Edge solo records. Helios Creed, of course, has a lot of solo records. They just keep going and going. They're all pretty good, even though a lot of them, like this one, look like shit, but they sound fantastic. But Chrome effectively sort of ends in 1995 when Damon Edge dies of kind of like alcohol and drug overdose in his apartment in Ronaldo Beach, California, after him and Fabian broke up, and he just kind of spiraled and passed away. And that was on August 11, 1995, almost 30 years ago exactly. So I want to give a quick shout out to one of my oldest and best friends, my pal Cole Kinnear, the only person I know who is as much of a Chrome head as I am, who went to the apartment complex that he died in. He rotted away for almost a month in his apartment before anyone found his body. It smelled so bad when the neighbors called the police and they found him. He just was living on an island at the time, did not have friends, and died a very sad, lonely life. And so it's like very interesting to see like how his reputation has grown and grown since, and has inspired a lot of people, including myself. At that point, the Chrome moniker gets picked up by Helios Creed, and thus begins a 4th iteration of the Chrome band with Helios at the helm now. And it sort of dovetails with his solo records. The Chrome records from that time sound like the Helios records, and he's releasing Helios solo records and Chrome records at the same time. And they're kind of the same thing. And it's all fucking good. I'm such a poser because I don't have the more recent Helios Chrome records, but yeah, they're still so fucking good. But in the early 2000s, Dossier Records, a European label that had released a lot of those Damon Edge era solo records or Chrome records, reached out to Helios and was like, look, we've got all these tapes that Damon was working on from the late 80s into the 90s that are just sitting unfinished. And you should pick them up and see if you can do anything with them. And Helios loved the idea and released this CD-only release called Angel of the Clouds. Oh, yeah. And this is a fan-fucking-tastic record. This is not the place to start with Chrome. But when you've run out of the classic period and you're dipping your toes into Damon era Chrome and Damon solo records, this is such a good place to go, because it is truly the last collaborative project between Damon and Helios. and it is so fucking good. But it's an awkward length. It's too long for an LP. It would be a double LP.
Okay.
I feel like probably at the time that this was released, there would not be demand for a double LP of this era and type of chrome material. I think maybe it could be now. I would like to see someone do it, but it's going to be an expenditure. But the thing about this is it's got a couple of the absolute high points for chrome. One of them is a song called Torque Pound, which is like very much Helios elevating these Damon tapes to what he was doing in the 90s on Amphetamine Reptile. It's got this like heavy, oppressive sound to it. It's like a bad acid trip, just swirls around in your head. There's so much going on in the mix, and it's very fucking heavy. It's the only song from this record that's available on vinyl on this 7-inch that is, very much like a 90s looking random weird record. Oddly enough, it's a split with Man or Astro Man.
Oh,
But it's the only way you'll hear anything from this on vinyl. And it's worth picking up. But the gem here is one of the absolute best chrome songs. Top 3 probably, if at least top 5. It's a song called Down the Road. And it breaks my fucking heart. It's just a beautiful fucking track. And it's a reworking of a song that is on the Wind is Calling, the Damon solo record. But the version on that record it's a different song completely. It has almost nothing to do with what you hear here. It sounds like they're taking like maybe outtakes from one of the live chrome records of the European era, because the vocals kind of reverberate in a way that sounds like it's in a live hall or something, but there's all this stuff that's just mixed in on top of it. And it kind of brings me to tears every time I hear it. It's just a profoundly fucking awesome song in every way. Another thing that brings me to tears every time I listen to this record is, the first track is this sort of like pastiche collage of just like whatever like random bits and pieces that Helios is working with, and he's like soloing and doing these cryptic vocals on top of the first track, and then in comes this very haunting track of Damon reading one of his poems on top of the song. And as the song fades out, this quote comes in at the end. It's a voice that says, "I was swimming with billions of babies in a rainbow, and I was naked. And all of a sudden, I turned into a perfect smile." And a second voice comes in and says, "I'm sorry I brought you back, but I need your help." It's a quote from the Robert Downey Sr. movie, Greaser's Palace, which is a very weird 70s movie. All of Robert Downey Sr.'s movies are very odd. And this is sort of like a blaxploitation Western about Jesus come back to Earth in hippie times. It's a very strange fucking movie. It's not for everyone. I can't recommend it to everyone, but I love it. But in the context of this record, it clearly is sort of about Helios summoning Damon back from the beyond for one last record. And it just hits me. Anyways, this is a record. This is a CD I can never not be without. I fucking love it so much. It was very hard to find. Dossier released it initially in the early 2000s, sold out immediately. They only pressed a few hundred of them. And then when Helios started to become quite active with Chrome again, about a decade ago, they did one second press of it and expanded liner notes on the inside. Definitely worth picking up. It went from like a $100 CD back to like a $20 CD. You can find it pretty easily now. Again, it's not the first Chrome you should listen to, but if you're dipping your toes in this water, you got to get here eventually. And man, just amazing shit. The last thing I want to say is just a shout out to this person who started an Instagram account recently. That is at Half Machine Lit Moves. It's a woman, I think from Switzerland, who just started a like history of Chrome Instagram page. I thought I was a deep Chrome head, but she posts stuff that I've never seen before and is giving history that is beyond my purview and has enlightened me in a lot of ways. So if you're watching this and you like Chrome or you're Chrome curious, at Half Machine Lit Moves on Instagram, you can't go wrong. The shit that she's posting, and she's like frequent. She's posting like 2 or 3 times a day. And it's it's making me spend more time on my phone than I really should. So that's my second pick and probably my last for tonight. Again, because all my shit is stored. So, but man, I fucking love Chrome and Angel of the Clouds. So good.
Wow.
I wish I'd talked about high technology suicide as long as that.
There's much passion.
Much passion. All right. Cheers, James. All right, Daniel.
That one? Okay. All right. I'm going to do 3 quick ones of stuff that kind of the opposite of Chrome. Just shit that's very simple. This is the Smoking Popes Get Down. Smoking Popes, pop punk band from the 90s. They were hard, like a little hard around the edges, more punky early on. They did that song "I Want You Around" that wound up in the Clueless soundtrack, which kind of bumped them up a little bit in notoriety. Main songwriter Josh Carter, amazing voice, sounds like Sinatra. Like, I often described this band to people as like, imagine pop punk well done, but a crooner, like a Sinatra fronting it. So I'm a huge fan. I love all their records. I love their new record that came out this year. That's going on my best of the year list. But this record is the only one of theirs that isn't on vinyl.
Okay.
It's the only one that they had a different drummer on, because the rest of the band is the Carter brothers, like the bass player, the 2 guitar players, and Josh. Recently, somebody, when they were touring for the new record, the kind of permanent drummer of the band ranked all the records and put this one last, the only one that he's not on. I wonder why. But to me, this is the one moment where they got a little bit dark. There's still like love songs on here. There's a song about Josh's daughter, I believe, that's like really cute and sweet and whatever. But there's some dark moments here. There's like, the songwriting on it is incredible. The guitars on it are beautiful. His singing is just beyond. So it's kind of the redheaded stepchild of Smoking Popes, but not a hard CD to find. I don't think that's expensive if you're into pop punk. Even if you've not like a Smoking Popes person, just the songwriting on this is amazing. Strongly recommended. Then Deadly Spawn, Japanese death metal band.
Oh, they
have 2 records, both only on CD. The guitar player was in my favorite Japanese death metal band, Intestine Ballism. This is, how like Burning Spirits started to do those like melodic leads, kind of pushing the hardcore. This Intestine Ballism before them, and some other bands like Shadow in the death metal Japanese scene, that kind of like propulsiveness with the guitars, those solos that just fit so perfectly and stuff, technically just pretty well done. I believe that on Deadly Spawn, they kind of production did a little to sound a little more kind of old schooly death metal, but you can still feel that like care for the craftsmanship of the music. If you like death metal, these are not expensive. You can find Deadly Spawn on YouTube. Fucking fantastic, super recommended. And then the last thing I was going to show for this round is, I'm a huge Bad Religion fan. They're my favorite band ever. And the mid-90s was the fucking golden age of bootleg recordings. This is from a Christmas show, one of those K-Rock shows. Pretty good recording off of a soundboard. This one, I think, is kind of the most famous one of these. There's tons of them. I have like 12 of these, and there's some that I'm still hunting down.
Wow.
But this is called Power Pop. It's funny because I have so many of them, and they'll be like, this was recorded in Holland and blah, 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 blah. And then like you find another one that says like, actually, it's the same recording, but it's from Germany 2 years later or whatever. But this era of Bad Religion live, like 90 to like 95, is amazing. It's so incredible. So, and I believe maybe a couple of these have like bootleg LP versions somewhere. But there's just this trove of like live Bad Religion recordings from the mid-90s that got like these pro press CDs with good art and shit. And I'm always hunting them down. I think it's one of the things that like in the 90s, I remember seeing like Alice in Chains and Pearl Jam. There was a Rage Against the Machine one called Killing in the Name of that came out just before their LP went huge. And it's kind of these bands at the peak of their fucking live powers recorded. And a lot of that stuff, because it's bootleg, like it's really hard to find and stuff or whatever. But if you ever come across like some janky looking Bad Religion CD that you don't remember being an official release, they're worth giving a shot, especially like the European stuff from the mid-90s.
Nice. Who doesn't like Bad Religion? Huh?
No one's gonna raise their hand. That's fair.
All right.
I feel really neutral about Bad Religion.
Neutral. Switzerland.
Okay. I'm just gonna run through a couple things that I was gonna talk about, but I don't have time. And then we're gonna talk about two bands that are besties that put out CDs. And so I was gonna show a bunch of like comps, because comps are like CD comps are kind of a classic and proper use of a CD. These ones came out kind of recently-ish. All of these like anarcho-punk ones, anti-state, anti-war, anti-society, anti-capitalism. These are really, really good. Like deep cutsy kind of, and some of like classic songs. I have no idea if they like got permission for all this stuff. But it's like got like bands that put out like tapes in the 80s.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and some like bands you've definitely like heard. And then I was gonna talk about this classic
Vining for oh wow.
Yeah.
Great
Great comp.
Anyway, comps. And then like, so this is one of the bands I'm going to talk about again, the X.
Starters
I've talked about a few times on here. So from like the mid 90s to the mid 00s, they only put out CDs. And I'm really hoping they've been gradually re-releasing all of their albums on vinyl. So I'm hoping that this and all their other records like Turn and things like that will come out on vinyl soon. This is a solid one. It's got like a really good cat song, you know, the songs where the drummer sings, called Mother. It's kind of about like invisible labor. And yeah, it's a good solid 2006 or something like that this came out. Another band that was around in the 90s, and they put out a couple of 7-inches, but all of their albums were on CD. Where this band that I feel like gets no credit. Does anybody recognize? I don't think they even have their name on any of the record covers. It's this Candy Machine from Baltimore. They were kind of in that, like, they weren't on Discord, but they're on Skeen, and they were on the dude from Jawbox's, the Jawbox People's label, DeSoto. And they were definitely in that scene, but I thought they were a lot like better and weirder than like 99% of that stuff. Kind of like fall influenced in a way. Definitely got that 90s Discord sound. But yeah, just a really, really good band that I don't think anybody ever talks about, and these will probably never be reissued on vinyl, but I wish they would be. But anyway, I'm going to end with an album that everybody loves and millions of people bought. And this is the band Besties with the X, band that I talk about almost every time I've ever been on here. It's fucking Chumba Wumba.
There you go.
It's this one. If you can get it for 50 cents in any used bin in America or the UK, or probably a lot of other countries too. I've really been looking actually for the UK version of this, because the US version cut out a bunch of the liner notes. They had all these like quotes, and they said, oh, you have to get permission from every single person who's quoted, which included like Tony Blair and like, well, Noam Chomsky probably would have given them permission. And also they bleeped the swears out from their samples.
What?
Yeah, this like, I feel like there's stages of Chumbawamba appreciation, and like realizing that this is like a great and subversive album is kind of the final stage. And yeah, it's great. It's got like songs about like current political events. It had songs about the Liverpool dock workers strike that were very like specific and cutting and also like beautiful. And yeah, it's dance music. They're really, really good at dance music. They're really, really good at pop music. This also, I think, would be too long to be on an LP. I actually like started an internet petition in like 2020 for this to be reissued on vinyl for Record Store Day 2022 for its 25th anniversary. I got 54 signatures. And I don't know, it was probably lost in that like fire. I actually don't have the CD. I had it in my car and it I don't know where it is. But
Wow.
And then they followed it actually with like a split record about anarchy with Noam Chomsky, and then with this, which was a huge flop.
Yeah.
What you see is what you get. But yeah, fucking Chumba Wumba, and all the rest of their albums were CDs after this one. I don't
really
think it came out on vinyl.
I could see why Tub Thumper didn't come out on vinyl at the time, but like in
right?
the era of Record Store Day, it's like very surprising that it has not yet.
Yeah, my argument in my petition was that this is exactly the kind of thing that comes out on Record Store Day. Exactly.
Right.
Like people were like, why the fuck did they do that? That's what Record Store Day is for. And I think like in 2017, which was the 20th anniversary, sorry, I'm going to show a record. The 20th anniversary of Tub Thumper was also
it's the UK version.
the anniversary of this.
Good record,
It
actually.
came out for Record Store Day, European Record Store Day, 2017. And if this can come out, so can that.
Truly.
Is Aquarium a double LP or is it a single LP?
It's a single LP.
Oh.
Yeah. I ordered it from Holland. Like I love this album. Anyway.
That's good.
This is so I got into Chumbawamba because Bill, my husband, like made me realize that Aqua is awesome. And I was like, okay, if Aqua is awesome, then maybe I should give like disco Chumbawamba a chance. So thank you, Aqua, for that. It was definitely it pushed me that last step into like appreciating Tub Thumper. So anyway,
why is the UK version of Tub Thumping like kind of hard to get? The CD version, like the CD?
I don't think it's hard to get. Like I check in charity shops whenever I'm there. It's just like I'm sure I could buy it for nothing on Discogs or something, but it's not hard to find. There's millions and millions and millions, and nobody wants them. So, yeah.
Is there like a 12-inch single for Tub Thumping Get Knocked Down?
Yeah, I have a 7-inch version. Actually, the 7-inch single. There's like a bunch of. There's like a CD, a mini album CD thing, which I have. I think there's definitely a 12-inch single. There's also a 7-inch, and the B side is Farewell to the Crown, which is basically like fuck the royal family, I hope they die. And then it came out like literally like 2 weeks later. Tub Thumping, sorry, the song Tub Thumping was number 1. And the number 1 song that like knocked it off was Candle in the Wind, because Lady Diana. The B side of Tub Thumping was like being like let's shoot the royal family, they fucking suck. So, It does specifically call out Diana as well. So.
Wow.
Yeah. Good band. I love them.
We know you love them.
Did you ever get to see them
It wouldn't be
live?
a Rachel appearance without some...
Well documented. Yeah.
Yeah, there's always got to be something that's least adjacent. All right, I'm gonna dip out, but I'm gonna keep watching. Thanks, guys. Thank you for letting us show CDs. I did pull a CD in a 7-inch sleeve on here one time. It was like,
You did.
I appreciated that.
I could have shown it again.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey, I'm the person that showed a Led Zeppelin CD box set back in the day. I'm not innocent.
Breaking the law. All right.
Thanks, Rachel. Talk to you later.
Okay.
Bye, Rachel.
Bye.
Wait, and Paul cheekily stepped into next.
Welcome, Paul. Nice to see
Hey,
you.
Paul.
Nice to see you guys.
Show us a CD, Paul. What you got?
When I didn't realize how many CD only releases I had. Like even from like J Church to the Shemps and just a bunch of bands that when I had to look them up, I'm like, oh shit, this is a CD only release. Anything that I show though is going to be just specific to Southwest Michigan in like the 90s.
Wow.
And so it's stuff that's available in 50-cent bins everywhere. And I'm going to start off with this Screw Tape. Can you see it?
Oh, yes.
So for fans of, I got to flip, don't I?
Yeah.
I forgot how to do that. Wait.
Go in the little cog wheel and then video camera and then click that.
Mirror camera?
Yes, mirror camera.
Well, now what?
Except if are you on your phone today, Paul?
No.
Hmm.
I just blacked out.
There's an ambulance or a fire engine.
This is why I was trying to use my headphones here because I'm in New York on a busy street.
Paul,
so.
just put it back to where you were. We can figure it out.
Right.
See what it is.
Is that
That
right way or
says
the wrong?
screwdriver?
No, it doesn't say screwdriver.
Oh, my bad.
Oh, there you go. You got it. Screw tape. There you go.
Specifically for fans of like Victim's Family and No Means No. Like, these guys practice their craft like scientists in a way that they never took breaks between songs, and they would practice and practice and practice until they could fit 13 songs in exactly 30 minutes and then just like walk off. But it was nonstop, start to finish, bicycle horns, crazy bass lines, weird songs about aliens and having sex with corpses, but all in that No Means No style, Victim's Family, weirdo, sort of bonkers kind of way. And this is highly recommended for people that love No Means No and Victim's Family and Southwest Michigan. I don't know if you guys have ever done anything in Southwest Michigan, but everything about the area has a very sort of doomy, sad quality to it. So there's elements of that too, like Cows, Laughing Hyenas, and other bands I'm going to show. Rolling Head, Twitch, Twitch.
Yes.
Have sort of. I'm not going to show any Twitch though.
I was hoping you would, so we could bro down on the Twitch.
I will say this though. Send me your address and hopefully you can get it. I found 2 copies when I was doing this of their first CD. I know it's not. It's the home record. 2 of those I found, so I can send you one of those if you want. And that's it for me. I've got more to go, but
yes, let's keep moving around. All right, Jesse, what's your next pick?
My next pick is something that you would not let me show because it was a CD.
Now it's
finally. Now's the time. I've been holding on to it. New band.
The oppression is
band,
coming to the forefront, Mike.
Yeah, from Japan, of course. This band reminds me of Last Chaos Crow. There's going to be a lot of people that are very sad when they get the CD and they think it doesn't sound like that, but I don't care because that's what it sounds like to me. It's ineptish D-beat stumbling over itself, crazy ass vocals, everything in the red. Just the first time I put on Last Chaos, when I finally got a copy, I was like, these are people trying to beat themselves to death with their instruments. And this kind of reminds me of that. Here it is. Boryoku Sochi. I don't know if you guys have seen, have knowledge. So it's they're from Tokyo.
Okay.
It's like a couple, I think one guy from Military Shadow. When I found that out, I was a little bummed because I was like, come on, you got to be able to like be kind of, and there's Pepper and there's Jihei. They don't like this that much. It's a little too loud. But yeah, like it's just inept-ish D-beat with super reverbed out vocals. Not really any guitar solos unless they can try to play them well. But yeah, it's just something that like showed to me that there's still bands that are new that can make me happy. But you got to take a chance and buy a CD. And I hope it's never going to come out on vinyl because like there's so much that gets wasted on vinyl nowadays. Why not just leave it on a CD or on Bandcamp where you can also find it, because that's probably the way you're going to listen to it more often than not anyway. Yeah. They also have this split that I just unboxed recently with DSM-5 from Sweden.
Oh,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. Honestly, the tracks on this split kind of suck.
Oh, really?
They have one good one and one good discard cover. So, out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tracks, 2 are good. So that's what, 33% or something. Yeah. But Boryoku Sochi, not too bad. Check it out.
Nice. All right. Alex, back to you.
All right, we'll go to Ireland for my next 3 picks.
Wow.
I don't know much about Irish hardcore. I kind of wish I knew more because all the bands I've heard are just totally ripping, excellent stuff. But I was going through my collection. Seems like there's a fair number of Irish bands that were CD only. I don't know if that's because there were more bands in the 90s. I'm hard pressed to think of like 80s Irish punk or hardcore, but that might just be my ignorance. But I found this one. It's a Monkhouse, Cakey Pig. So Monkhouse is kind of a more melodic band. I'm not going to say pop punk, but it's more kind of like in the Leatherface vein.
Yeah.
And actually, Frankie Stubbs produced this record. So, if you like the way that Minx sounds, like the production is kind of weird, a little wonky on that one. This kind of sounds a little like the way Minx sounds.
Yeah.
It's good stuff, but they're kind of like, I don't know, like Leatherface's little brother kind of sound. They don't quite have the, ingenious like Stubbs Hammond dual guitar thing going on. But if you got rid of that, they otherwise just kind of sound a little bit like Leatherface. So definitely worth checking out.
I remember Monkhouse. Yeah.
And they did a split CD with this band, Strychnine DC.
Yeah.
This is their last album, Horses for Courses. This is kind of a more punky thing going on. It's more like, I guess the Ruts come to mind. They have a big reggae ska element to them. They're kind of obnoxious in the same way the Exploited is, like that kind of punk. So if you like that vibe, I guess now that I think about it, you could say they're like Irish Rancid, maybe. I'm not fully on board with Rancid, but kind of those vibes.
They're kind of like a street punk band, right? Strictly in DC.
A little bit, yeah. But this is a pretty good CD. I was kind of surprised how much I liked it. I will say there's a song on here called Discrimination Hurts that has, I guess we'll say, ironic use of a certain racial slur. Has not aged well. So apart from that, if you can overlook that, this is a pretty good album. And I haven't heard their split with Monkhouse, but that's on my want list for sure. But the last one I have is going up to Northern Ireland. And this is My Name is Satan, Refuse to Kneel. Yeah, so this is an amazing album, really overlooked. And it's basically like super heavy and dark hardcore. I was trying to think of how to describe it. And, you know, they have these kind of huge, massive riffs like Rorschach, just kind of, I don't know, a lot of open space and sustain. It's like, it's metallic, but not in the sense of, it's not technical or anything like that. It's just super heavy. I guess I could also compare them to bands like ABC Diablo or like His Hero's Gone, Initial State. It's very much in that vein. This group had members of Jobby Crust and the Dagda. So if you're into,
don't they have a split with the Dagda too? Is that right?
I don't think there's a split. I'm pretty sure this is their only release. But
okay.
Yeah, but the Dagda has 2 albums. Those are both excellent.
Yeah.
And I always thought of it kind of like His Hero Is Gone is to Tragedy as My Name Is Satan is to Dagda. Like the progression is very similar. The Dagda is kind of more like, you know, the Neo Crust, Stadium Crust type thing. Whereas my Name Is Satan is a bit more just heavy, not quite as melodic. Kind of more like I guess Neurosis is another point of comparison. Yeah, just it's really overlooked. CD only is probably the biggest reason. I thought I heard some noise about an LP pressing coming out last year, but I was searching. It doesn't look like that's happened yet, but hopefully it does so more people can hear it. You know, the other thing is like their band name is a little cheesy. It makes sense in the context of the album. There's like a spoken word piece that begins the album, and it's very effective. But when you pluck out that phrase out of context, it doesn't quite work. A little cheesy. So I don't know. That seems like a Northern Ireland thing. You know, they had that. You know what I mean? They had Pink Turds in Space. Obviously, I think Bleeding Rectum was Northern Ireland as well.
Bleeding Rectum, and then what did the band after Pink Turd in Space? Was that Jobby Crust? No, there's another band like after Pink Turd in Space also have a really.
Was that because they came out of a bleeding rectum? Like, why were they pink?
Actually, Bleeding Rectum might be the band that's after Pink Turd in Space, right? I think
they are related to Toxic Waste. I don't know, but I feel like the whole scene is very incestuous. So a lot of these people were in each other's bands. But yeah, I don't know if it's on YouTube. It might be, but if you haven't heard it, check it out. I actually see this in the bins fairly often. So yeah, if you play CDs and stumble across it, check it out.
Nice. I thought you were only going to do Japanese picks. That's great. I was surprised how much I remembered about Monkhouse. I definitely remember Monkhouse from that era of like Leatherface influenced like pop punk. And they were named after a comedian called Bob Monkhouse. He's dead now, but they kind of took their name from this comedian. All right. God, it's back to me. Round 3. I'm going to skip one of my hardcore my hardcore breaks and talk about doom. Not the musical genre, not the UK crusters, but the best doom of all, in my opinion. Okay, Japan had a kind of big thrash metal boom in the mid-80s, and I love a lot of that stuff, but there was one band that really stood out. That band was Doom, but like their first record and their first 7-inch is kind of fairly straightforward, like thrash metal, and then boom, suddenly like their next record, they just took this like left turn, and these are the 2 I'm going to talk about: Illegal Soul and Human Noise. These are CD only, 1991. 1992. Let's try and sum up Doom in easy to understand terms. They're like thrash metal bass, meaning they're rooted in thrash metal, but they've also got a lot of 70s hard rock in them, and they like to groove. So like they're a kind of band that has like 7 songs in one. You know, they're like there's 7 songs in each song. from this band. You know, there's so many time changes and different passages, but they like to do the sort of the Led Zeppelin like funky breakdowns, and there's a lot of 70s hard rock, which works because it kind of breaks up the thrash. Also, you've got this progressive element, and it's like a lot of King Crimson in this band. And it does sound like I'm talking about some horrible, like technical tech thrash, tech death band, but Doom are different. It just flows so well. Everything they do like works so well. And the icing on the cake is the fretless bass. Ko Murata, genius bass player. And the records where he's up front, leading the way, are the best. They kind of tone him down a little bit as you go through the catalog. But talking about kabuki makeup, fretless bass, thrash, hard rock, progressive rock, all thrown into this blender. And I can love this band. The records are deep. You know, it's like listening to Yes or something. There's like so much to discover. Illegal Soul, never been released on vinyl. This is the reissue, which this is the more modern version. They kind of tidied up the artwork, and this is a funny thing about Doom. They started off on Explosion Records, very important like thrash label, moved to a major, Invitation, Victor, and they ended that part of their career on HG Fact. So I think they got dropped by Invitation. In fact, this is on their own label, Alzheimer. And then they just ended up on HG Fact, and they put out singles on HG Fact, and all those single cuts are on the reissue of Illegal Soul. So this is probably the one to get. I love this band, man. I think they're amazing. And the good news is that Human Noise is coming out on vinyl in October. And I've already pre-ordered it. In fact, the whole Doom back catalogue is kind of being reissued on vinyl. But I love Doom. They're kind of a tough sell, but I think they're amazing. Of course, the drummer is Paz from Gastank, for you Japanese hardcore fans. I'm talking of Gastank. An addendum to this is the fact that, you know, they'd been dropped by Invitation Victor at this point. So they released this by themselves on Alzheimer. It's their own label. There's only 2 releases on Alzheimer. This and one more CD, which this one. Quartergate. What's Quartergate, Mike? You might ask yourself. Well, Quartergate is the aforementioned Doom with Baki from Gastank on vocals. And that's what Alzheimer put out in 1992, these 2. I want to say it must have been from the same sessions, and they got Baki into I don't know what happened with this, but it's quite the combination. Doom get to show off they're more like hard rock side. Baki's doing his thing. There's some balladry, some gothic balladry on here. There's some hard rock on here. Gets a little funky. This is a tough sell, but I also love this record. If you like Baki's vocals and you love Doom like I do, then this is like a present from the gods to have Baki singing. This is another one that Sato from HG Fact sent me back in 1993 when it came out. This might be the most expensive CD in my collection. Thinking about it, rare CD. There you go.
Throw out a figure. What are we talking about? Expensive? Come on,
4,000 yen.
Oh, that's like $30.
Like same price as it was new.
But hey,
one that hasn't gone down.
No, when it was new, it was doesn't say.
Probably $29.99.
But it was the 90s. It was the 90s. So who knows? Anyway, that's my third round. Doom, Quartergate.
I gotta tell you,
now
don't
it's back around to me. I don't have any more picks. I'm going to bow out. I just wanted to stick around for one last round and just say, I like the format. I like the free for all. This is cool.
We love the free for all.
And I don't have many CDs to show, but this was It's a lot of fun, and I'm gonna get drunk a little and watch the rest of it. I might jump in if you guys are post show chatting. I might hit the stream link again and say what's up. But otherwise, I'll be watching from the wings.
All right. Cheers, James.
Peace, James.
Excellent.
Have a good one, you guys.
James. I guess that.
Oh God, now it's all. Who's next? It's Daniel, right?
Yeah.
There you go.
All right. Quick Japanese one. Enslave, Far East Hardcore. I showed, I believe, their split with Pasaora, which is, I think, their only vinyl. But this is the real deal thing. Far East Hardcore by Enslave. Female male vocals. I will say my favorite crust adjacent band of all time, or anything within the crust big banner, is From Ashes Rise. This band takes stuff from Ashes Rise. It's not as epic and big. It has way more urgency with the vocals, with the guitars. It's very Japanese, but to me, this is one of my favorite Japanese hardcore releases of all time. So Enslaved, Far East Hardcore. There's 2 versions of the CD. This one's a little easier to get. The original pressing is like $100 or something. And it's never available anywhere for any reason. Second thing I wanted to show, the Blackout Terror from Florida. I believe this was in the early 2000s. So this is kind of around the end of that Florida scene with like Reversal of Man and Combat Wounded Veteran, kind of like what we used to call dirty kid hardcore. Very like just that kind of scene, and which later went on to produce bands like the Holy Mountain, some of the kind of no idea hardcore stuff. Somewhere in between there, because I believe one of the members was in the Holy Mountain for like a cup of tea. They did 2 7-inchers. One was a split with Majority Rule. One was just theirs. Their full length was only ever available, and I saw them live a lot because I was living in Florida at the time. It's just like the front booklet of a CD with the track listing on the back. It's the kind of thing, I don't believe there's a lot of it on YouTube and stuff. This band was incredible. This band kicked my ass. They were fucking... The songs are super interesting and angry. It's hyper political hardcore. I mean, there's a song on here called "How Economists Maintained the Exxon Valdez Spill Was Good for the Economy." Like that's
the other thing that like Florida was good at. Like all those bands had sentence-long titles for their songs.
Yeah. There's Sexual Assault at Punk Shows. I Dreamt I Saw Phil Ox Last Night. There, a lot of like kind of them playing above kind of their station feels like they want to do interesting like time signature changes and things that become aggressive because of the way the guitars come in and the vocals and everything. And it's not Dream Theater, it's hardcore, but like they're pushing it so far. It's so interesting, it's so fucking angry, it's so good. If you find the 7-inchers, the splits, the Blackout Terror, fucking one of my favorite things ever from Florida. And then the last thing I'm going to show for this round, I don't know if anybody here Cop Shoot Cop fan.
I've dabbled.
Okay. So the main guy from Cop Shoot Cop went on to Firewater. And it's these 2 are the second and the third, I believe, or maybe the third and the fourth record. I like all of the records. These 2, Psychopharmacology and The Ponzi Scheme, are kind of my favorites. So early on in Firewater, it's very klezmer influenced rock and roll, like, which is, I don't think I've ever heard another band that does that, because I'm not really into kind of like the world music kind of that thing. But it's dark, it's fucking boozy, it has a little bit of Cop Shoot Cop in it, it has great guitars, it's got great rock and roll in it. I believe their first LP got reissued on vinyl not that long ago, but Psychopharmacology, rough vocals. Like if Tom Waits started a coherent rock and roll band, it would sound like this.
That sounds
wow.
Great fucking like sardonic, kind of, and I'm straight edge, but it feels like music for like dead end barflies, but it's fucking great. So both of them are super cheap, super easy to find. Firewater, Psychopharmacology, the Ponzi Scheme, very good stuff.
That sounds awesome.
All right, Paul.
So again, Southwest Michigan. This band I'm going to show is a bunch of people from like hardcore bands and stuff. Steve Versaw was in Spork, but I guess he was in like Ordination of Aaron and some like Ebullition style bands. Ryan Gage and Tony Miranda were in Vine, a record that Matt Weeks put out of their retrospective. And Ryan is in Broken Hearts Are Blue too. They just have huge music backgrounds. So when this guy Todd Carter was like, "Hey, I'm in the recording program at Western Michigan University. Can you guys put something together just to record?" They put out Lemmy and Masha, Lightning Telegrams. And it's a very acoustic album that has a lot of sorrow to it and almost some weird jazz parts. Things that usually I find disgusting. And I don't know if it's just the proximity of me and their lives and knowing these guys, or if it's just really good, sorrow, sad winter music. Like the cover alone is just such a lonesome Middle West winter. And all the songs completely reflect that. And again, with Gage's perfect sort of poetic lyrics, just really, it's a nice record to put on and just if you want to feel bad about things. And it's encased in some light sort of pop guitar here and there that comes in, and some of the cello and violin has some really beautiful tones in the background, but then lyrically, it just pulls you in, man. It's just you can't feel good all the time. Sometimes you want to feel sad about stuff. And this is where to go. Lemmy and Masha, Lightning Telegrams. Buy it today. The guy who did this is doing a bunch of like noise bands and stuff too. Like they were in a band called Liminal, and they would make their own instruments out of just huge metal pipes and barrels and string like metal wire from one to the other, and difficult to watch. Happy to say that I saw them a few times, but have no recorded. That's a lie. I do have recorded material by them, but haven't ever listened to it. But this, Lemmy and Masha, Lightning Telegrams, get it today.
On it.
That sounds like sad bastard music, which up my alley.
There you go.
That was a good sales pitch. I mean, I wanted
to.
All right, Jesse. Got anything else?
I do. Oh, there's always more. I think this will be my last entry or contribution, though.
Okay.
Two different things. I think one. So this band is from like the early 2000s around Tokyo. I think definitely rock and roll / garage type stuff. I remember like in the early 2000s, I was reading in Maximum Rock and Roll like Mitch Cardwell's columns and stuff was always about garage and stuff, and I was really getting into it. And he mentioned Needle Records out of Tokyo. Like they had 3 or 4 singles, The Sneeze, Zymotics, Keen Monkey Work. So like they had done just kind of like a blast of singles all of a sudden, and he's like, you got to get these, they're the most amazing thing. So I got those, but then I saw somewhere else that Needle Records did the CD by this band called The Young Ones. So like the Young Ones, I don't know anything else that sounds like this, probably because of my own ignorance, but it's just really heavy guitar centered garage. It's incredibly driving, amazing guitar solos in every song. Just, it's good. I've held on to this for years upon years, They have one 7-inch that's not as good as the CD. So maybe this is on YouTube. You can check it out. I don't think it's hard to find. But yeah, like it's a band that no one that I talked to who liked garage music in the US ever knew about or anything like that. So it's just straight up great rock and roll. So that's number one as a intro. Many people haven't heard, but hey, can't be hard to find. Number 2, another band that like I've never really heard anyone talk about. Does anybody know this? Pink or this green? They're hard to see as it is, but Joy
Joy
from Tokyo. Also CD only. They did a split 10-inch with Exit Hippies. They did a 10-inch of their own, and then there's these 2 CDs. And I don't know, it just reminds me of like Angular hardcore, like later Discord stuff. Even like maybe Frodus or like, I don't know. I don't have many other references just because I don't listen to this stuff this much, but this I really like. So Joy, super cool. The green one is called Band in Joy. It's on Mangrove. Record shop basis level or label. Second one is Joy wa Volcan Yoso. So look out for Joy. +3. So it's like something +3 bonus tracks, also on Mangrove. But I think these are pretty out of press. Like this one I found last trip. I went to Japan and picked it up. This one I ordered when it came out.
There you go.
But yeah, I don't know. Joy is just, if you like stop-start kind of herky-jerky hardcore / indie rock stuff, and you don't want to understand the lyrics if you don't speak Japanese, good stuff. Yeah. But those are my last 2. So
beautiful.
Yeah.
I want you to stick around for my last pick, if you don't mind, because I think you might have something to chip in.
I'll do what I can.
All right, Alex, what's your next pick or picks?
All right, I have 2 more from Japan, and I have many more not from Japan. I don't know how long you're going to go on, Mike, but
probably maybe one more round after this, I think.
Okay, well, I'll do a lightning round for my last one. So this one, this is, I'm going back into my archives for this. This is actually the very first Japanese punk CD I ever bought. It's not what you would expect, I don't think. So it's this thing. It's called Hardcore. What is it called? Hardcore Marathon 1996 Osaka.
Wow.
Yeah, so this is on Tag Rag. And really weird, I actually found this brand new at Amoeba Records in Berkeley, California. I have no idea what it was doing there. This would have been the late 90s. It was pretty hard to source Japanese CDs at that time. I guess like maybe Vacuum and those kind of distros were around, but as far as like walking into a record store and finding stuff like this, pretty unusual.
God, I want to guess who's on that. 1996 was the year I moved to Osaka.
Okay.
And it was a very interesting era because Tag Rag was kind of an offshoot of a kind of skateboard shop called Saturn Arbeit. And I'm even wearing a T-shirt from a band that was kind of heavily in that scene, Rise from the Dead. And hardcore was in a very kind of interesting spot around that time period. Like a lot of money was going in from Saturn Arbeit and a lot of fashion. Like it's very fashion based. So, man, Jesse, can we guess even who's on that?
Dude, I mean, I figured you ran the Osaka Hardcore Marathon in '96. So I don't know.
I know, like
younger man.
A Bestie Boys. I know, like Rise from the Dead.
I mean, yeah, Cocoa Bat, Sliphead Butt.
No.
Or not Sliphead Butt, no. Cocoa Bat, Brick Butt. That's what I'm thinking of.
Yeah. Brick Butt?
Brick Butt?
No.
Maybe.
No.
Okay, Ben, help us out, Alex.
Okay. Who's on it? The big reveal. So it's got A.G. Allo, Dig a Hole, Doug Revenge, Hardcore Dude.
Okay.
One Size Fits All.
Okay.
TJ Maxx.
TJ Maxx.
Yeah. It's got Toast.
Toast. Yes.
There you go.
Yeah, and it's the last one is Yellow Machine Gun.
Yellow Machine Gun.
Yeah. So I feel like these are bands nobody cares about at all, at least like outside of Japan nowadays. Pretty much deep cuts. But I think it's really cool. This is a live concert.
Wow.
It's like a board recording. It sounds really good. I think probably these recordings are better than like their actual records that they put out for the most part. It's just like super raw, sounds good, really diverse group of bands. I remember the one that really blew my mind at the time was AG Aloe. They just have these kind of like throat shredding, crazy, kind of like Charles Bronson-like vocals. So, but also kind of, I don't know, they had kind of like a Dread Yankees kind of vibe too. Like Dread
Nice.
Yankees gone hardcore or something.
Wow.
First time somebody has compared something to Dread Yankees.
I'm all about it. I love the Dread Yankees and Scumbag.
I don't know. I kind of like Dread Yankees. I don't know why, but that was one of my early Japanese purchases. But anyway,
nice.
Yeah, One Size Fits All is really good on this. They have kind of like a bit of a garage edge, like maybe like Smash Your Face a little bit.
Okay, yeah.
TJ Maxx, I always wondered if they knew about like American TJ Maxx.
It's where they got the name from, yeah.
Okay. It's like Terminal Justice Max, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so they're kind of like, I don't know, like beat down New York hardcore type stuff.
Yeah.
Toast is cool. I think they do a SOB cover on this. And then, Yellow Machine Gun, pretty cool. I think they came to the US. I never saw them, but those CDs were around because they were on Howling Bull.
Yeah, they came to the East Coast for sure. Like the mid-90s when I was, they definitely came around.
Yeah, so like people knew about them, and the thing I always thought was weird about them was like, I have their CD called, I think it's called Spot Remover.
Spot Remover, yeah.
And they mentioned Limp Bizkit like multiple times in there, like in the thank you list, and there's like a show poster that they played with Limp Bizkit, and they were like, they seem to be pretty proud of that. So I don't know what that was all about.
I know for a fact that they wanted to be a big professional band, and they had management, and they did a split 7-inch with SOD too, right? Around that time.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the vibe I got from like I guess both Tag Rag and Howling Bull. They kind of seemed a little more on the commercial end of things.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, anyway, just kind of as a postscript to this, I ended up selling this a while back, and then I'm the kind of guy that sells things, and then I end up buying it back at some point. So this one on my want list, and it was on my want list for maybe like a decade. Like I could not find this damn thing, and like I've been to Japan a few times, and I was always all up in the Disc Union or Time Bomb or whatever, and I could never find this until last year, my most recent trip. I found this finally. Does anyone want to guess where I finally located this?
In Osaka, right?
No, actually, Tokyo.
I just got the book.
Flower Record.
Yeah, Flower. I found this at Flower. I went there at like 8 at night, and like I think maybe you guys probably know about Flower, but it's kind of like it's like a hoarder's idea of a record store, basically. You can barely walk in it, and I think they have all kinds of cool vinyl. They also have tons of CDs. And
ceiling, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say that was super weird. They're hanging down, and they kind of almost look like Chinese firecrackers. They're just like kind of all like jutting out from the ceiling. And it was I went there. I was trying to look for Confused Stupid Life CD, and I asked the dude that works there, and he was super nice. He was like digging through his boxes for me for like 10 minutes, and it was kind of funny to watch him like digging through all this mess. But I was waiting, and he finally just looked at me and he was like, "Sorry, out of stock." So I'm still looking for Stupid Life if anyone wants to sell it to me. But anyway, this was my introduction to Japanese hardcore randomly. Yeah. And I'll do one more Japanese CD for this round. I wore this for the occasion. This is Shikabane.
Shikabane.
Yeah, and this is their final CD.
Wow.
And I am not sure what it's called because I do not read Japanese, but sorry, I can't give you the title. But it came out in 2009, CD only. And I was always like a massive fan of this group. I know their first 12-inch got a ton of hype, but I was really into the stuff that came after that. So like Ego and Desire, and then Why Do You Live? And, you know, Prank did an international pressing of that. And that's when they kind of turned into more of a like dark hardcore kind of thing. A lot of people were saying they had a bit of a black metal vibe, which I kind of see where that's coming from. They were doing like tremolo riffs and things like that, but it was just like minor key, you know, dark, heavy hardcore. And then this thing came out, and I was super psyched for it. And I had to be honest, I've always had a hard time getting into this. It's like kind of a natural progression from Why Do You Live, but it seems like they kind of like ditched traditional song structure. It's just like all over the place. It's like 5-minute songs, and there's no verse, chorus, verse. It just kind of zigzags all over the place. So I don't know. I keep returning to it every couple of years because I loved everything this band did up to this point. And it's not that I dislike this. I just feel like I'm not like sophisticated enough to like this is kind of how I think of it. So I keep revisiting it. I tried listening to it yesterday, and it's good, but it's difficult. It's like difficult music, I would say.
Okay.
60 minutes long, so you know if they ever put it out, it would be a double LP. So it's interesting. I'm still trying. You
I
guys
didn't know they had anything. I didn't even know that existed. That one. But,
yeah. Were you guys into Shikabane at all?
Yeah, I've got a couple of CDs, but not that one. I used to have like a T-shirt with the kanji on it, and I used to get a lot of stares in the street, and I didn't know why. It means like corpse, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So obviously, a lot of people were a bit afraid of a big, tall, white fella walking around with the big corpse written on his breast. But yeah, I still like him, but I can totally see them going in like this really kind of almost experimental kind of direction. You can totally, it's there almost from the beginning in a way, right? So yeah. All right, let's do one more out, man. I have a pile of Japanese CDs in front of me. I'm only going to show one because I'm going to abort my original plan. Jesse is familiar with this band. We're talking about Osaka. Okay, Osaka, difficult albums. Here's one for you. This band is probably the most beloved hardcore band from Osaka. They're, been around since the late 80s. They have a lot of records. They've been through various periods of their career, from the Selfish, era, the classic stuff. And then they took kind of a left turn at some point, like in the 90s. And I'm talking about this split CD that they did. I'm talking about Nightmare, And somewhere around, like, not long after I moved here, they had a lineup change, and they got a couple of guys from a free jazz group called Aberanabari. Sax player, drum player. They got those two guys in the band in Nightmare. And that lineup is they have 1 7-inch, right, which not many people like, and then they have this, which not many people like. But to me, this is the era where I went to see them the most, and when I was most enthusiastic about like Japanese hardcore. So I used to go and see them all the time with the sax lineup and the free jazz drummer. I used to go and see them all the time. And there's some positives about this era. One is that they still had the heavy guitar, the distorted guitars. They hadn't gone for that like jangly guitar tone which they employed like later. And yes, there's a sax player in the band. I used to love to see him.
That's a red flag.
Right, it's a hard sell. But man, live back then, they were like really. And this guy Yamauchi, the bass player, was in the band, and he wrote a lot of songs for them, and he was a good songwriter. So they would play a lot of his songs. They don't play any of them anymore because he quit the band, unfortunately. But anyway, this CD is like Nightmare, with the sax player and the free jazz unit, the drummer and the sax player, Abura Naburi, and it's recorded live at this legendary live house, Bears, just recorded live, like nothing done to it. It's like one Nightmare song, one Abura Naburi song as like the No Problem CD. It's a tough listen. I mean, I've been listening to a lot of free jazz for the last 15 years, so when this came out, I used to skip the Abura Naburi song. Just like, what the hell is going on here? But
yeah. I mean, I remember the 7-inch, it was like tracked left and right?
Yeah.
You could put it on the right channel and there's no sax.
You could
put it on the left channel and you get the sax. So, yeah.
But I have really fond memories of this era of Nightmare, and it's kind of like not very well documented on vinyl. But there's only that one.
I mean, it, like, you know, you talk about how they get the jangly guitar and stuff, and that's all just the obsession with the Stooges.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So that was this huge thing, and this is probably a great start, right? You know, they heard all the tooting going on the first Stooges record.
Yes. And then if the truth lives within, you'll be back up and moving, which is like this sort of this jam that it's totally like Stooges, like LA blues style jam. It's quite the trip for people who only know Nightmare through the early records, the first 7-inch and the comp tracks, and give notice of Nightmare. It's so different. Check it out if you haven't. You know, if you think you're ready for some free jazz mixed in with some like hardcore with saxophone. That's going to be my last recommendation. Nightmare. This came out on Bloodsucker, man. Bloodsucker. No, Dando Records from Kochi. Put this out. So there you go. That's my last pick.
Okay.
All
right. I'm going to head out, guys.
All right, Jesse. Nice picks.
Thank you all. This was great.
Catch you on the rebound.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Daniel.
Ruido de Rabia from Spain. Anybody know this band? All right. So they have 3 releases. One split record from 87. Then there was a tape in 92. And there was like a full length in 94. This is a band that I fucking loved for a long time, but only ever had on like dubbed over tapes and shit like that when I was a kid. Their first record, it's like Spanish punk that wants to go way fucking faster. So they're just on the brink. There's moments where they burst into grindy stuff, but they're still doing kind of that very Spanish vocal, very punky guitar. It's really fucking good. Second record, you can feel that they're like dipping their toe into like, well, this is almost kind of metal grindcore, and they go with that. And then the third one, it gets like ethereal metal, but still grindy. Hugely influential band, I think, that kind of gets buried with some kind of the more straight up Spanish punk. This was it has a CD with all 3 records plus a live set, and it has a DVD with them kind of in different eras playing stuff. If you like Spanish punk, if you like grindcore, it's definitely worth checking out. Plus, it's widely available, I think.
Okay.
Second thing I was going to do for the last pick to Manufactured Romance. Punk band from the UK. Very, like, if you took everything else out of the Rosillos and just the poppy stuff, female fronted, catchy as hell. So this one's, they did a 7-inch. This has one of the tracks of the 7-inch and then like 7 other tracks. I believe these were releases by the band later on in the 2000s, because they both have like a postcard with a picture of the band, and they have this little card where they're like, thank you so much to everybody for helping us do this. We had a 7-inch with 2 songs. We recorded a bunch more. Some of them are on this. And then there's a second one, which is them live. And it has the same thing, the same kind of, so it has the date on it and who was on the show. This is way punker than this, but super catchy, super melodic, female vocals, right up my alley. Fantastic stuff. And then the last thing I wanted to show Dead Blue Sky from Dayton, Ohio. So this comes out on Good Life Records in 2001. And I remember that era where like the hardcore in Europe was getting super metal, but the US was still very resistant to metal. And this is like some dudes in Dayton, Ohio who had heard a bunch of black metal, but they had the chops of like hardcore kids, but they were like, we want to do that. So it's in a weird way, kind of primitive black metal, but kind of spoken through like hardcore language. They did a 7-inch, both on Good Life, which was one of the biggest kind of metalcore bands ever. But it's so kind of like melancholic as a result of the kind of structuring and everything they do. It's really heavy. It's really good. I love it. It's one of those things where like you're listening to somebody try to fucking do something, and it's really great. And then wanted to do kind of a little sneak
ahead.
Band called Blood Wishes Can't Mend from Florida. They were around in Florida when my hardcore band was around in Florida. They're kind of the first two Converge LPs kind of hardcore, but more kind of like emotional and shit. This is a prized possession of mine. I fucking love this band. And I'm working on with another label to maybe put this out on vinyl, hopefully here or next year.
Wow.
So What Wishes Can Mend, if you appreciate heavy metallic hardcore, incredible band.
Nice man. All right, Alex, what's your...
I'll go through the ones I have left and give you some little capsule reviews. So this is A Solution, Things to Come. So they were Southern California, like Orange County crust, like old style crust, like, Amoebix, Axe Grinder, that kind of thing. And they put out a 7-inch, I think in the late 80s. And then they recorded this in 1992. And then one of the vocalists tragically died by suicide. So this got put on the back burner till I think it came out in 95. And it's really good. It's an interesting progression from the 7-inch. It's kind of like, am I still here?
Yep.
It's kind of like later Amoebix, like Monolith era or Antisect Out from the Void. It's like kind of got a bit of that like rockin' crusty feel. Yeah, it's just really good. One of the vocalists has this insane grainy voice that I almost wondered if there was some kind of effect put on it, but I feel like it's actually just his voice, but totally gnarly. This is good stuff. Somebody should put it out on vinyl so more people can hear it. Next one, this is Negative Reaction. This is, what is it called? Everything You Need for Galactic Battle Adventure. And this is on Psychedumelic. And it's actually, despite the artwork in the label, it's more like sludge, I would say. I guess it has a bit of a stoner vibe, but I never see anyone talking about this band. They've got a million releases, and this is actually the only one I've heard, but yeah, it's super good. Just really actually kind of catchy in a way that this genre it's not often. Like I find, I don't know, something like Grief. I personally don't really like remember Grief riffs or anything. Maybe that's just me, but this band is a little more digestible to me, at least.
Okay.
The vocalist is super cool. He kind of sounds like a cartoon character, like he sounds like Yosemite Sam or something. So I don't probably worth checking out.
Say less.
Yeah. What else? So this is, in my opinion, the best Discharge tribute album.
Whoa.
There's some better known ones, like there's one on Allied called Discharged, and then there's another one on Rhythm Vicar also called Discharged. So those have like, heavy hitters like ENT, Nausea, SDS, Neurosis, bands like that. But I think this one is actually better than any of those comps. This is a Brazilian compilation, so it's exclusively Brazilian bands. It's got 27 tracks on it, 27 different bands doing 27 different Discharge songs.
Whoa.
And
is DFC on there?
DFC.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
They had a Discharge cover, I think.
But I don't know. You wouldn't think that a Discharge tribute would be super exciting, but I love this CD. I just put it on, and it's like super satisfying to listen to. All the bands just do a really great job, and you know, we all know Discharge songs by heart. It's like it's such a part of our just like I don't know, cultural DNA at this point. This is a fantastic compilation. I was looking on Discogs, like a lot of these bands have only put out like CDRs or demos and stuff, but it's also got like Lobotomia, Armageddon, you know, so some older bands as well. So there's just like a really good mix of Brazilian scene.
Wow.
And then the last one I want to talk about, I hesitate to show this, but I just think it's kind of interesting. Have you guys ever heard of this?
Shark Chum.
No.
Tre
Homeboys.
Yeah. So this was actually one of the first punk CDs I ever got. And
what was your hesitation, just out of curiosity?
Well, I'll show you some of the artwork here.
Okay.
Oh. Lovely.
Yeah, lovely. There's a lot going on here. And I don't want to read the song titles because I don't want to get your channel in trouble, but this is very much like Dwarves-esque. Just kind of like, yeah, you know, like really, it's almost like if the Dwarves were actually like dumber and more art. Yeah, like, I don't know, like with the Dwarves. You know, I feel like Blood, Guts, and Pussy has some kind of, there's some kind of like art behind it. It's like kind of funny, even though it's offensive and stupid. But this is like if you dumb down the Dwarves.
It's possible.
So like, I mean, one of the songs, I'll give you a sample. There's a song called "Pissed Off, Got a Hard On, and I Want to Get Loaded." You know, it's like that kind of thing. It sounds a lot like Dwarves and Zeke. And I think one of these guys was actually in Zeke, at least on the early records. But the big twist ending to this is that this band is actually started out as 3/5 of this band, Holy Terror. So apparently Holy Terror basically became this band.
That was an amazing twist. I did not see that coming.
Yeah, big. It's like better than the Sixth Sense ending, right?
Yes. Well done, sir. Well done.
Yeah.
So I was trying to research a bit online about it, and it kind of sounds like there was a big, I don't know, big rift between the members, and 3 of them basically like relocated up to Seattle and started this band, Shark Chum, and apparently like some of these songs even started out as like Holy Terror songs, and then they kind of like stripped them down to make it more punk or something.
But Holy Terror is like almost like the exact opposite of Shark.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, I mean, it's almost like it's almost has like the kind of a prog edge, right? Like,
yeah, and lyrics too, like super political. Like,
yeah, like I think probably whoever wrote the lyrics was not one of them.
It was not.
Yeah, but I always thought that was really interesting. Just that like a lot of the same people made these 2 things.
That's amazing. That was a great build up tonight. I didn't see that coming from. Yeah.
So that's all I got.
Oh, go ahead. Oh, I sort of lived the other side of that because I was in a band. Do you guys remember the band Jihad? There's that like the Ottawa Jihad split 7-inch. Yeah. So I was in a band with their singer called he called himself Phil, and the name of the band was Fellatio in the Wet T-shirt contest. But everybody came to see the singer of Jihad, not expecting Craig to have like instead of like Jimi Hendrix with a flaming guitar, he'd pull out like a dildo and set it on fire and shoot it at the crowd and stuff. They're like, "This isn't the Ebullition." They're like, yeah, it's a totally different band. Like, so I could imagine people going to a Shark Chum thinking that like, "Guys, some Holy Terror, it's gonna be great," and then they just jaws drop when they hear "I got a boner and I want to get loaded" or whatever. Hard on, sorry. I should have written that down.
Get the title right, Paul. Okay. All right, Paul. Last pick of the day. What's it to be?
Well, it's not going to be the singer from Jihad's X band. Although that is a CD only release. Again, Southwest Michigan, Grass Records like gobbled up a lot of bands like Twitch and Rolling Head. There's one band of 4 guys that they'd been in hardcore bands forever, but their souls were like the guitar player. They just like to fix cars and listen to Black Sabbath. Their drummer was actually, I've never seen anybody hit drums harder than Josh Wilson. And that includes like Dave Lito from like Rye, who pretty much murders drums when he gets behind a set. And their bass player, Alan, was just really into the jam. And then their singer was kind of cut his teeth in California being a BMX bike rider, and then eventually moved, to Michigan or whatever, and got in the band, the Deconstruction. This actually came out within the past 10 years, but was recorded like in 94 and just never came out. And it was the same guys who put out the Lemmy and Masha record finally are putting some of this stuff together. But musically, it didn't track a lot. So like they didn't really fit in anywhere because they weren't quite an emo band or a hardcore band. They were sort of doing almost these hardcore prog songs. Wow. They were like 5 minutes long, but that wasn't really a scene yet then. A lot of weird time signatures. The songs had little samples of like Ozzy Osbourne or Cars in the songs even. Wow. And nobody knew how to fit them in anywhere, but everybody that saw them just fucking loved them, right? Because it was just sonically nobody knew what to expect. The guitar player himself, Sean Barney, was known in the area for they called them scary chords, because I think he would just sit around at night like with a Ouija board and put his hands on his guitar and just come up with the most oddly dissident stuff that I haven't really heard any bands play since then. And it was great. There was this other band from Kalamazoo called the Sinatras, who just did their 40th year reunion last a week or two ago. And they sort of sound like the Replacements, Husker Du of Southwest Michigan. But it was weird to see all of those guys back from the Deconstruction basically there at that show and just reminiscing with them about the time. There's a great podcast too, if anybody's interested in Southwest Michigan punk hardcore weird stuff, called No, I'm Not a Gas Station Attendant. And these 2 guys that were in like Konstantin Sankati went back and they interviewed just bands from the time and people of the time, and they're actually some great, endearing, fun interviews.
Is that ever like an LP name? Because that should be an LP name.
I know, right? From a Florida band, right?
If someone doesn't have dibs on that, someone should get dibs. Especially
because it's centered around 90s, and I just did everybody here have a gas station attendant shirt like that they wore with a patch on it, or like I feel like that was like almost every show I went to had that. Chain wallets and oversized
I remember seeing them but never being able to buy one, and then like a couple of years later being like, you know what, I'm kind of glad I missed that.
Yeah. I didn't either, but I just remember like Rob, you're still in the laundry. And that's what
you mentioned Twitch a few times.
Yes.
I have a Twitch CD, but I don't think I've ever listened to it. Should I listen to it?
Is it called Beaten Senseless and Giddy with Love?
I don't know. I'd have to dig it out.
There's maybe a couple of bands called Twitch, but
I have that. I found it like in the the dollar bin.
This is actually interesting. My pick, High Technology Suicide, which I talked about briefly in round 3. The guitar player of High Technology Suicide introduced me to that band, Twitch. He sent me a tape of it because we would like tape trading and stuff, and that's why that band I didn't really get to. They they had the riffs. They had kind of grungy riffs in that kind of style in Japanese hardcore sound too, because he was listening to a lot of like stuff like Twitch and stuff like that, which it came out in their music. Makes sense.
It's if you like that sort of grungy, thicker sounding stuff that is sort of tainted by the sorrow of Southwest Michigan, you might like it. And if you don't like it, send it to Mike, because he's been dying to get his hands on a copy probably since it came out in the mid.
You know what? Like I bought like so many like digital downloads, and they died when my computer died, and I can't find the CDR that I burned of the digital download. That's like probably a really low bit rate from like 15 years ago that I paid $10 for. So I just give me the CD. Come on.
We have a convert to CDs on our hands now.
It can't be that hard to find. So it's taken me like 30 years to get my hands on a copy. But I love it. I love that album. I love it. I think it's amazing. And on that note, let's finish up. It was a good time. It was a bit haphazard, but it was good. It was good chaos, organized chaos. Second free for. I'm going to do. You know what? I'm going to do another one, maybe in like November or December. Paul actually kind of put the seed in my brain a couple of years ago, where he was like, we should just talk about records that we like don't like or disappointed by. Let's do it like in November or December. Like records we bought recently that were disappointing or that we didn't like, or we're going to do it like maybe November. We'll do a free for all for that. Should be fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah, right.
I'm so in.
Let's do it.
You know what? I even have a title for the episode.
Okay. Don't give it away yet. Someone might steal it.
All right, I don't want anybody.
All right, we've got a show next week. Back to the usual Friday night, 10 p.m. Eastern. Graham from Homefront is back again. He's a great guest. We're kind of figuring out the next two guests, but I think we've got him. It's probably going to be Ian from Homefront and maybe Zach from Prodamania and the Spectres should be coming on. We've got to he's got to sign the contract and everything before he can come on. Thanks for tuning in. It was a fun time. As always, stay healthy,